The NBA is now more than 71 years old. It has an amazing history that is full of facts, events, and awards. People are always looking for facts about their favorite players or teams. There are thousands of facts all over the internet. Let's take a look at some NBA facts that you might know. 1. Shaq ONeal made only one three-point shot ever. Shaq is a 4-time NBA champion and a 15-time NBA All-Star. He is considered to be one of the finest players in the history of the NCAA. Every single facet of the game was within his control, with the exception of one. Over the course of his whole career, Shaq has tried 22 three-point shots, but he has only been successful in making one of them through. It is difficult to conceive of a guy who has completed 11,196 baskets in his NBA career, but has not made a single three-point shot in that time, isn't it? During the game that took place on February 16, 1996, Magic inbounded the ball, and with 2 seconds remaining on the clock, Shaq produced one of the most unpleasant bank jumpers in the history of the National Basketball Association. 2. Air Jordans were once banned from the NBA. 1985 saw the birth of Air Jordan, which continues to be considered one of the finest basketball shoes of all time. With each passing year, they continued to expand in size. Nevertheless, getting started was not that simple. The majority of the trainers that were available during that time period were white, and the players were instructed to wear shoes that were identical to both their outfits and the shoes that their teammates wore. According to former Commissioner David Stern, the early Jordans were available in black and red color combinations. Stern did not like these color combinations since they were similar to the uniforms worn by the Chicago Bulls. For each and every game that Michael Jordan participated in while wearing these trainers, Stern imposed a punishment of $5,000. Due to the fact that Nike had paid the whole charge on Jordan's behalf, Jordan did not worry about it. When compared to what they received, it was not a significant price for Nike to pay. 3. Kobe Bryant's first NBA contract was co-signed by his parents. In the 13th round of the 1996 NBA draft, Kobe Bryant was selected. After being drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, he was promptly moved to the Los Angeles Lakers, and the rest, as you are well aware, is history. Kobe Bryant was not even 18 years old when he was selected for the draft, according to one of the various versions that circulated about the draft. The qualifying requirements for participating in an NBA draft were determined differently back then compared to how they are now. In order for Kobe to keep his NBA contract until he turned 18 later that year, his parents were required to co-sign it on his behalf. 4. The shortest player and the tallest player in NBA history played once for the same team. Muggsy Bogues, who is 5 feet 3 inches tall, holds the record for being the smallest player in the National Basketball Association. Muggsy was a phenomenal athlete who was well known for his ability to steal footballs. Because of his small size, he was able to pass between the legs of a player during one of the plays by accident. His ability to stop shots was underappreciated. Manute Bol, on the other hand, holds the record for being the tallest player in the history of the National Basketball Association. He was one of the best rebounders and shot blockers in the game. In terms of three-point shooting, he was underappreciated. Both of them were members of the Washington Bullets, the team that they played for during the 1987 to 1988 season. 5. LeBron James eats and writes with his left hand. The left hand is the one that LeBron James uses for eating and writing, and he is now one of the most dominant players on the globe. He displays ambidexterity. There is a common misconception that LeBron James is right-handed since he shoots with his right hand. However, the reality is that he uses his left hand for practically everything other than actually shooting the basketball. When he was questioned about this, he said that he attempted to mimic his parents, Michael Jordan and Penny Hardaway, when he was a youngster. He began shooting with the right hand since his parents used to shoot with the right hand. Imagine for a moment that LeBron James also begins shooting with his left hand. In such a case, how much fire do you anticipate? 6. 60% of NBA players become broke after 5 years of retirement. Although Sports Illustrated conducted the survey in 2009, which is a long time ago, the pattern is still present today. How is it possible for a player in the NBA who makes millions of dollars to become bankrupt? When I think about it, this is a question that immediately comes to mind. However, the research is accurate. Over the course of his career, a player racks up millions of dollars and enjoys a lavish lifestyle. All of the money is spent on things like automobiles, footwear, clothing, residences, and other things. It is not difficult to envision where the money disappears. It is necessary for the players to have a good understanding of the significance of money and to be financially educated. LeBron James is a fantastic illustration of this concept. He has hired people to handle all of his business and financial concerns. The athletes have to realize that there is a lot more life apart from the National Basketball Association. 7. There has never been a quintuple-double in NBA. In the National Basketball Association, double-doubles and triple-doubles are rather prevalent. Are you familiar with the term quadruple-double? Only 4 players in the history of the National Basketball Association have earned a quadruple-double. These players include Nate Thurmond, who has 22 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists, and 12 blocks. Alvin Robertson, who has 20 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals. Hakeem Olajuwon, who has 18 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists, and 11 blocks. And David Robinson, who has 34 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 blocks. Now about the quintuple-double, as was said before, there has never been a quintuple-double in the NBA in which a player has recorded at least 10 points in each of the 5 categories of statistics. 8. Shaq challenged Hakeem to a one-on-one. Shaq was 22 years old and the leader of the Orlando Magic when the year 1995 rolled around. During that season, he led Magic to the championship stage. On the other hand, Shaq had a different narrative to tell about the finals. He was playing against Hakeem Olajuwon, who was considered to be one of the finest centers in NBA history. Every game, Hakeem scored more than 30 points, and he outscored Shaq in every single category. Shaq was furious because he had won all of the games in the series. After the conclusion of the finals, Shaq was so enraged by Hakeem that he sent a letter to Hakeem encouraging him to compete against him in a one-on-one match. The Taco Bell one-on-one challenge was finally released, and the ad for it was also released at the same time. 9. The shortest player in NBA history blocked 39 shots. Tyrone Muggsy Bogues will go down in NBA history as the player with the smallest stature. Imagine for a moment that a player who is 5 feet 3 inches tall manages to make it into the National Basketball Association. Certainly, this is not a typical tale. A remarkable individual is the subject of this narrative, which is also extraordinary. Muggsy was subjected to criticism over his height throughout his whole life, yet he never gave up trying to improve his height. He worked as hard as he could and eventually made it to the NBA. During his time in the NBA, he successfully blocked 39 shots from taller players. The man was really remarkable. 10. Paul Pierce was stabbed 11 times and still played every game in the 2001 season. The Buzz Club in Boston was the location where Paul Pierce was on September 25, 2000. Even though it was late in the night, Paul was at the wrong place at the wrong time. This was a really unpleasant situation. As he attempted to intervene in a fight that was taking place inside the bar, he was stabbed 11 times. Face, neck, and back were all stab wounds that he received. An unknown person broke even a bottle on his head. Anthony Batty, who had been his former teammate, rushed him to the hospital and ultimately saved his life. He had to have surgery on his lungs. He was able to get back on his feet on his own in 3 days following the operation, which is a remarkable accomplishment. Soon after, he returned to the court and immediately began firing his gun. During the 2001 to 2002 sports season, he participated in 82 games and was the only player on the Boston Celtics team to start each and every one of those games. This was one of the most bizarre things that happened. This is something that seems impossible for someone who has been stabbed 11 times. His mental fortitude was so strong that he was able to do this. He took his basketball team and the sport of basketball extremely seriously. 11. In NBA history, only 2 games have been played on Christmas Eve. Despite the fact that we are all aware that the season brings an end to one year and a new one begins, it is remarkable that in more than 7 decades, there have been just 2 games played on Christmas Eve. A common objection raised by players is that they would like to engage in more conventional activities with their families or friends, which would require them to travel and use a significant amount of energy. A portion of the reason why the cycle is structured to prevent games from falling around the time of Christmas in the modern era is because of this. An fascinating history of rule breaking and variety may be found in the National Basketball Association. A number of superstar players have a significant impact on the NBA, and widespread advertising and media attention have undoubtedly contributed to the league's current state of affairs. 12. A team almost named Hamburgers. Before the team became the Oklahoma City Thunder, it went through an extensive process of brainstorming and consideration for a suitable team name. The process involved input from team executives, marketing experts, and fan surveys to find a name that resonated with the local community and captured the spirit of the team. One of the early considerations for the team's name was Oklahoma City Barons. The name was meant to evoke a sense of nobility and leadership, fitting for a sports team representing a city. However, during the brainstorming sessions, team officials were exploring various options, including some unconventional and quirky ones. In a lighthearted moment during the discussions, someone jokingly suggested the name Hamburgers as a playful and unexpected choice. The idea likely sparked laughter and added a humorous element to the naming process. While Hamburgers was clearly not a serious contender for the team name, it became a memorable and amusing footnote in the team's history. As the discussions continued, another name emerged that would eventually become the chosen identity for the franchise: Thunder. The name Thunder was suggested as a placeholder, but resonated with those involved in the decision-making process. It conveyed a sense of power, energy, and intensity, attributes that align well with the dynamic nature of basketball. Despite the initial playfulness of the suggestion, Thunder gained traction and ultimately won out as the official name for the team. The Oklahoma City Thunder made their debut in the 2008-2009 NBA season, and the name has since become synonymous with the team's identity and the passionate fan base in Oklahoma City. 13. NBA's red, white, and blue basketball. During the 1970s, the NBA embarked on a unique and distinctive experiment that set it apart from other basketball leagues of the time: the adoption of a red, white, and blue basketball. This bold departure from the traditional orange ball was a visual spectacle aimed at capturing the attention of fans and reinforcing the league's identity in an era marked by creativity and innovation. The decision to introduce the red, white, and blue basketball was influenced by a desire to create a strong visual identity for the league and make the game more engaging for viewers. The multicolored design, with panels in red, white, and blue, was seen as a symbol of the patriotic spirit, aligning with the colors of the American flag. This distinctive basketball made its debut during the 1970-1971 NBA season, and it quickly became a symbol of that era's unique style. The use of a colorful basketball was not only an attempt to stand out from other basketball leagues, but also a reflection of the cultural and design trends of the time. Before you hit that exit button, don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring the notification bell to stay in the loop for more revelations from the world of sports.